is this happening?
Yeah, I think we just
Just carry on.
let's do it. We've
Yeah.
not done a proper one in ages. We'll sort it out. It'll be fine.
So another lovely professional opening, and welcome back to Just Not Cricket. It's been a bit, and by a bit I mean maybe weeks, maybe a month. A long time. The frequent podcast is back. And cricket has happened. How are you, Jamie? Have you been enjoying all the cricket that has been happening across the globe?
I have been, and I have not completely forgotten about entire test matches at all, or come in late to watching them.
I did almost forget to say because we're recording just after the fourth T20 of seven between England and Pakistan, the biggest warm-up series you'll ever see. I forgot that was happening today. I got home and saw a notification of, I think, Rizwan getting out, and I was like, oh, we're playing again. Off we go.
No, I made specific note to watch this one today because I knew we were recording.
Yeah.
So like, no, I'm gonna watch.
Gotta watch it, gotta understand it. So we'll talk about that. A lot of cricket stuff, a lot of non-cricket stuff, a lot of controversial cricket stuff. Or is it controversial? Depends who you ask. But we are back with Just Not Cricket to talk about cricket and not cricket. I've missed this, to be fair. It's quite a nice thing, just like offload of cricket.
Just a nice chat, isn't it?
Just a nice chat. I think since our last recording, I think we've been to a few games. We went to the Gloucestershire v Middlesex at Radlett, which was nice. We had a good time there.
Yeah, really nice atmosphere. Like a nice change of pace from proper big, grandiose test match stuff. It was just nice.
Yeah, a nice kind of 50 over. That I think because I'd gone to the Oval a couple of days before, again Gloucestershire and Surrey, and it just kind of just took you back to like old 50 over ways, where it isn't just like smash it all over the place, where like 280 is a good score. I'm not saying that's like probably a good thing to have all the time, but it was just quite nice just to watch two decentish teams and new up and coming players and stuff like that. It was fun. I enjoy that.
Yeah, and we like latched on to a couple of the players as well, which was really fun. Like whenever they came over to our end on the boundary, it was like, yeah, come on, lad.
I mean, that's the lovely thing about county cricket, isn't it? Because it's so kind of personal, interpersonal. Like you're right up there with the players, and you get to watch them throughout the day. Like a test match, which is always great. I love a test match, but because you can be, so far back, you're not potentially going to have that connection with the player in the same way. So yeah, I love that county cricket. It was great.
And depending on the ground, the atmosphere is completely different. Like say Lords to Edgbaston, or like even the Oval. Like I've only been there when Indian fans have been there, but it's just like just the complete difference in atmosphere between test matches between different grounds. It's just weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Good, but like just a strange experience.
Yeah, I think that isn't that going to be a segment that we were going to do, but we haven't got round to yet, of like ranking the England grounds. We will do it one day for all of those waiting in bated breath.
Of the three I've been to, it's
you've been to Lords, you've been to Oval, you've been to Edgbaston and Radlett, I guess counts.
I've been
Worcester.
Yeah. So I can do a top five,
Top five. In that order. Easiest top five. But yeah, hopefully we'll do some more grounds next year. I think that is the hopeful plan. Get about and see some new places and new teams and new faces. Don't know what that means. Anyway, we're going to talk about some cricket. Most recent cricket obviously happened. Dave just mentioned the fourth T20 of England v Pakistan. A series that is gripping both England and Pakistani nations. I keep forgetting it's happening. But what I love about it is that it was the biggest piece of news, England going back to Pakistan earlier this week. And now it's not even like the top 5 biggest cricket news. That's the thing with us doing these podcasts. Like we would record something and then 2 days later, it's like old news. So
that's just been the sport in general for like the last 2 or 3 years. You're like, fuck, that is a crazy thing. 2 days later,
that's a crazy thing.
God, that's another crazy thing. What was it? The other thing I thought was crazy 2 days.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, the thing about this is that with every kind of team around the country around the world, it's just kind of warm ups for the World T20, which is happening in Australia very soon. We've got 7 of these games because obviously England didn't go to Pakistan last year for reasons that were ridiculous. But it is currently 2-2 in the series, which is good for a neutral. How much have you watched and how much have you enjoyed?
I've watched today's game. I watched the run chase from the last game.
Okay.
I definitely didn't watch the first game. And I'm going to say I didn't watch the second game because I can't remember anything about it.
Sure. It's been quite nice in a sense that it kind of it's still on. It happens at the end of my work day, and I get home and I can watch like the last hour and a half. So it's quite a nice way to finish it. So, quick recap: if for some reason you don't know the score and you're listening to a cricket podcast, England won the first game, batting second. Alex Hales is back. He got 50 in that game after 3 years exiled. Second game lost by 10 wickets. Babar and Rizwan just chased down 200 as you do. Ridiculous. I knew that was going to happen. I was going to tweet it on at just not crickpod. It'll be very Pakistan to win this by 10 wickets, and they did. Then the next game, Duckett and Brooke had an absolute great one. Brooke got 80 odd. Duckett 70 odd. Yeah.
And Jack's in the high in the order with 40, wasn't it?
Yeah, smashed 40 at the top of the order. Yeah, he did really well. But yeah, I think that was a real kind of coming of age innings of Brooke, definitely in that game. That was great to watch. And then I think must have won by about 40, 30 runs. It happened 2 days ago. Who remembers this anymore? I know that Wood bowled 97 miles an hour, and I think that's the main takeaway of the game. But yeah, Wood back with 3 wickets, which is good to see.
I mean, I think Wood bowling full stop is the biggest takeaway with the World Cup coming up.
Oh,
get him some fitness, get him some rhythm.
Yeah,
we're banging.
Yeah, get some wheels. And then today, made 3 changes. All these games at the moment captured by Mo, because Joss is injured. Lost by 3 runs today, even besides the heroics of Liam Dawson. And today's game's kind of passed me by, I'll be perfectly honest. I thought that I can't really judge what was a good score, who really cinched it. But it looked like a good game. Watched the last kind of 10 or so overs. Brooke batted well, Mo batted all right, and then Liam Dawson tried to burgle a win. All good fun and games. Any thoughts on the series, which we've not very briefly covered there?
I mean, it feels like a very England-Pakistan series, just completely back and forth, up and down between the two. It's just really nice to watch Rizwan and Babar bat as well. They're so good. Today,
annoyingly good.
I don't even mind it. They just Rizwan today, the rate at which he was batting, the shots he was playing, it's just really, really good stuff.
No, yeah, great, no, definitely.
And then you follow up, and England are 12 for 3. and then somehow managed to get into a position where they only need 5 runs after last over, because Dawson's had a mad one from nowhere. But even then, Brooke and Mo had to put them in that position. They had to get Dawson to the position where he was able to give us a chance. Even if we didn't finish it off, I think we can be pretty happy with this game in general.
Yeah, considering that's kind of our second, third string team. I think as well as Brooke played on Friday, Thursday, last month, I think today was quite a good test of his mettle, I think. And I know he didn't win it, but he got a good 30 odd in kind of when we were about 30, 40 odd for 4 or something like that. And I think those kind of innings are crucial when you're really making your stamp on the international game. And he just looked completely at home, which was great to see. I think, Dawson coming in at the end, there's nothing to lose. Have a dash. It'll come off. It almost did. And then Topley runs himself out at the end, but it's fine. It's there's 3 more games to come in this 7-match series. So it keeps it interesting. But yeah, I think there's a lot of positives. Like we mentioned, Wood, obviously Brooke. I think Mo's captained really well. I think we said
Yeah,
off pod that weirdly it'd be quite nicer if Mo was maybe captain over Joss.
mhm.
Is that
Yeah,
what?
no, yeah, I agree. Like, I think he's captain franchises as well. He seems a bit calmer when he's captaining. I like his bowling changes
Mm,
today. He made some good fielding adjustments
yeah,
as well to get a couple of catches. I just feel a bit more secure with Mo for some reason. I feel like he's got the backing of the dressing room or the more of respect from the players. Not that Joss doesn't have any.
yeah. Head here first.
I just feel like there's a bit more of a calmness to Mo's captaincy,
Yeah,
which kind of reflects in his game. Whereas with Joss, it's been a bit frantic. He's not had a lot of time
no,
since taking over from Morgan, but it does feel a bit very. It it echoes how he bats. It's very aggressive, very like go hard, go home sort of
yeah.
stuff.
I think yeah. I don't think he has the chance to because I think the Morgan plan was to play until this T20 World Cup, and obviously his form just fell away, and fitness wise, I don't think he felt he was up for it. Like this, it very much felt during the summer. I think we've spoken about it. It was basically Morgan's team, but just Butler was captaining it. Then you come to Pakistan. Obviously, it's a few reserve players in there, pretty new, fresh squad. It gives Mo a bit of a chance to stamp a kind of identity on the team, and like you can find it kind of you look at that team and you know who the captain is. Basically, I think that's it's Mo. And I quite like it's such a stupid petty thing, but I like a captaining from like mid on or mid off in the field, not necessarily keeper. And I know there's been great wicketkeeper captains in the past, obviously MS Dhoni, screams to mind, Brendan McCullum when he kept for a bit. But like I kind of like a player who can be there next to the bowler, who's always in and about it, can be running to the boundary if needs be. Not say a keeper can't, but there's something about a keeper next to the bowler, which a captain next to a bowler, which feels to me a bit more captain-y.
Yeah, no, like especially T20s, ODIs, so they can continually talk to the bowler about plans and field adjustments on the fly rather than like the keeper can't do that as efficiently. And like when you talk about Dhoni and McCullum, like they've had good players in the field in like say Kohli or Ashwin for Dhoni. McCullum's had like Vittori. So they've had like leadership roles in like just general fielders. Whereas if you look at the England team now, like there's not a lot of, especially in this squad at least, there aren't not a lot where you like trust a mid-on who's not captaining to like, tell you just bowl it a bit back of the length a bit more or try and get that Yorker in on like fifth ball, set them up.
Yeah.
But I feel like Mo's got that sort of leadership qualities and he's done it before. Like he's
proven, especially. And I feel like, you always want a captain who kind of contributes to the game. And, sometimes when Mo might not bowl as well or bat as well, that, you can probably still offer something as captain, which is always ideal. I think he's also quite honest as well. I think after the second game, he bowled one over that went for like 21 or something. And he was very kind of blunt in like the press conference afterwards. Say like, I think it was my over that cost us the game. So I hold my hands up for that. Kind of taking the flak and, he just fits this mold of the team that's in Pakistan at the moment. Whether that would fit in Australia for the World Cup, don't know. But I think for this squad at the moment, he's the best guy. And if he's going to be vice captain to Joss in Australia, I think that's all good. But yeah, other than that, got 3 games to go. One team will win, one team will lose. We'll forget about this series in the next couple of months. But no, it's great to see cricket in Pakistan. I know we kind of brushed over it earlier because it's now no longer news, but I think it is great to see, just the passion of the Pakistani fans, like all their kind of balmy advertisements and competitions, like Sensodyne toothpaste keeps coming up as an advertisement throughout the game.
I'll make those people drinking that weird tea as well.
It's just nuts and I love it. It's great.
It's a bit surreal seeing the crowd like ice lollies as well.
There was a great moment.
You don't get that at Lords.
I can't remember what the tea company is, what the tea sponsor is. They have to cut to them at certain landmarks. And there was in the last game on Friday, when England obviously posted like 220, and in the last over, Pakistan got to 150, and Mark Butcher had to be like, "Oh, now we've got to go to our whatever sponsor tea moment with like these 4 people having their tea like." It's already over. Why are we doing this? Like, I love like.
I get it. T20.
Tea. There we go. We've solved all issues in cricket.
That's why it's not called Coffee 20.
Oh, there's coffee and cricket. Am I right? But no, it's great to see Pakistan, and I kind of just hearing like the stadium, like, you know, the eruption when they won tonight. It's just like, this is why cricket needs to be in Pakistan. It's great to watch. Whether the test matches will live up to the same kind of one-day hype later in the year, we shall see. But it's just great to see some kind of new places to watch cricket, because I've not watched cricket in Pakistan before, because it was kind of a little bit before my time-ish when they last toured Pakistan, give or take a couple of months or years. But yeah, it's nice to watch a new place of cricket with England playing in.
Yeah, it's a really fun atmosphere. Like, just it kind of echoes that like Indian subcontinent feel they've got as well. Like, even just cheering for like potential cotton bowls or like bump balls, they're in it every single ball. They're properly invested, and I love it.
I know, it's fabulous. Talk about something else that people absolutely love. It is, or how should I think? Let's bite the bullet. Let's discuss the dead rubber game between England women and India women yesterday. India were already 2-0 up in the series. England won the T20 series before the 50 overs. They did really well in there. I think their batting has let them down a little bit in this series. They're obviously missing Heather Knight, and that skipper's taking a break from the game, I believe, because of mental health. So they are 2 of their gun batters. But bowling wise, they've still got likes of Sophie Eccleston, Kate Cross. And Kate Cross really bowled really well yesterday, got 4 for, which felt very kind of quintessential late September, opening the bowling at Lords, nibbles around a bit. Got a lovely couple of bowls early doors. So that was great to watch. But the main talking point, which everyone is going to talk about and not really ever consider the rest of the series ever again, is the ending when England needed 16, I'm going to say.
Yeah, sounds
16
right.
runs, with plenty of balls to do it. They were 9 down, recovered a little bit because they had really kind of been blown away earlier in the innings, and they kind of wrestled some initiative back through Charlie Dean, who ended on 47. But was mankaded at the end, or as the MCC want us to call it, will be run out soon. We can't call it mankadding. She was run out by Sharma, Dipti Sharma at the end. Fair to say, people are talking about this. Thoughts?
I mean, generally, mankads are in the rules of the game. So if it happens,
laws,
they're in the laws of the game. I wrote laws in my notes as well.
Yeah.
If it's in the law of the game, then you've got to accept it as part of the game. It's going to happen at some point. I think different cultures have like different spiritual interpretations of what a mankad is. I think with like an English mentality is you should probably give the batsman a warning before you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, fine. If you want to give someone a warning, fine. But I don't think you need a warning to know the laws of the game. You should be know.
That's a good point.
And like generally, I think it's a good law to have because it allows, or it doesn't allow rather, the non-striker to take the piss.
Yeah.
They can't back up to a ridiculous length. They have to be wary of like the bowlers potentially doing the mankad. So, like, I think the actual law itself is fine, and
yeah, would agree.
I don't think DT did anything wrong. I think it's a bit of a cheap way to end what was a decent match and what would have been a decent finish, but like it's going to happen sometimes. You got to get over it. It's like it's part of the law. You just got to.
Yeah, I think I don't enjoy the whenever a man can happen, because like I would much prefer a game to just be played right through to the end. A bowler getting a batter out through skill, something they train at for hours and hours and hours, is obviously in the laws. My opinion would be to take it out of the bowler's decision to mankad or anything like that. I would think the umpires should be watching the non-striking batter or third umpire. If they're taking unnecessary, backing up, going really far out, then the umpire gets involved. That there's an official warning. If you get a second one, you're out. Like, I play softball a bit over summer. There's a rule in softball when you sort of a bit like rounders where you bat in a box. If you leave that box to try and hit it, get a better hit, you're out because you've gone out of your striking range. I guess not necessarily similar, but like for example, in football sometimes like you see quite a lot when goalkeepers getting booked for time wasting at the end if they're just kind of holding the ball, not clearing it, anything like that. Referee comes in, no, get on with it, yellow card. Like if the batter is taking a significant advantage by running down the wicket, trying to get some running, or just they've left the crease as the bowler has bowled it, then the third umpire can say to the on-field umpire, look, that batter has just done that, give them their first warning. I just think it just leads to too much drama every time to be heaped upon the bowler, who, like you say, it is in the laws. I think yesterday, was she doing it on purpose? Was she ever going to bowl that ball? Is the question I think is going to be asked a lot, because you kind of feel that she was, watching Charlie Dean. Was that a ball ever going to be delivered? Was that just kind of pushing Charlie Dean to do that so she can run her out? And would it have happened if England weren't 9 down? Questions that have been asked many a time. So I think if you just take that out of the bowler's hands, it's in the umpire's remit. If they've left their crease before the ball has been delivered, here's, I don't know, yellow card. You need to stay in there before the ball's gone out. You've got the technology which you can monitor that. That would be my opinion. I just hate the drama of it all, like going on the social medias last night on our cricket page and just seeing all the abuse, all the like yelling. It's just like everything about that game, because that was England women's first game at Lord's since they won the World Cup in 2017, I think. Yeah. And then that's all forgotten because there was a mankad at the end. It's just like it's a cheapened way of the end because everyone's going to be talking about that instead.
I mean, you've got people both sides as well. Like on the England side, you'll have like people vehemently defending, oh, you can't do that. That's goes against the spirit of the game completely. And then you'll have like on the Indian side, you're like, it's part of the rules. It shouldn't be out of crease.
Yeah.
Which is there. And like I've only seen that delivery personally, so I can't judge the context leading up to that. I don't know if Charlie Dean was taking the piss a bit or if she had a warning before. I don't think she did have a warning, but
no.
Again, I don't mind about getting a warning. It's again, you should be as a batter aware of that, especially with spin bowlers. Like a fast bowler will not be able to mankad really. They'll be too focused on where they're bowling and getting in. A spin bowler can like judge it a bit better. And I think specifically yesterday, that delivery, was she really taking the piss? She was barely
not at all. Like there was I don't see any kind of unfair advantage for the batter there. Like she was doing, in the Lords, she technically had gone beyond, but she was watching Deepti with the ball. Okay, she's in her delivery stride. Now I can slowly start walking. And that's where the questions come from.
Yeah.
Was she watching Charlie to be like, I'm going to goad you into this, and I'm gonna get you out because because I know how you're thinking and how every batter who has played the game thinks. Like, you're taught that when you're growing up as a kid. When the bowler's coming in, you are backing up with the bowler, and then once the ball's being delivered, you're going to look towards the batter and then run. In all that instance, when Deep T's back leg is, hit the ground, Charlie's bat is in. She's in a delivery stride there, bat is in. There's no unfair advantage there. She is, in the next context of events, if she was going to deliver the ball normally, then she would have left the crease at the same time the ball would be delivered. And I think that is where it gets a bit messy and yucky from yesterday. I don't think you can really look at it. I know it's in the laws of the game, but if you take it out of context, like I showed this to Steph, my wife, yesterday, who, I only kind of show the dramatic things of cricket too, because she's not going to care that much about anything. And straight away she's like, that's rubbish. That's just, you don't enjoy watching that. You don't watch that for enjoyment. You can't, you'd feel yucky celebrating that. There's no, on the base level, if you're watching that as a casual or just any kind of sports viewer, you would view that as, are they cheating? Which they're not, because it's in the laws, but it shouldn't be a law, because then it leads to all this rubbish.
I think that sort of leans into the cultural aspect as well. I don't know how Australians or Kiwis or Bangladeshis or whoever would feel about mankad, but I think there's definitely a very England-India divide with this as well.
Yeah,
we feel, especially because England were on the wrong end of it.
Yeah, it is always on the end of it.
Yeah, we feel hard done by it because of that. So I think we have to sort of manage our cultural expectations. The Indians think this way, and that's fine. That's how they play their cricket. Yeah. And we've got to sort of accept that and adjust how we play that when we play against India. That's part of the tactics of the game as well.
Yeah.
And I think, as you mentioned, with the stride of the delivery, I think that's not on the batsman or bowler either. That's in the lawmakers.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying up until when they're in their stride, that gives the bowlers more chance to be deceitful.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the controversy and the discourse comes with it. So I think you can easily go if the bowler's in their stride, they're in their stride to bowl. So they either have to bowl or whatever follows is just a dead ball. If they if they do it a bit earlier, fine. Because if they're doing it a bit earlier, then the batsman's more likely to be further out and has been taking advantage a bit more. So again, you can't blame the players.
Of course not. There's not one part of me that I'm like, how dare you do this to our glorious game? There's not one part of me that's like that. You can do that in the game. I just don't think the ways that it is done should be piled upon the bowler. I think it should be taken out of the same way, that no balls are now checked by umpires.
Yeah, I get
it. You've got the side on camera. As soon as a batter is leaving that crease, unconditionally, out of the delivery stride, yellow card, don't do that again.
So would you add, say, a second crease a little bit further down? Crease?
Oh, if they've passed that point. Probably not. I just say you need to stay behind that crease or have something, your bat or something behind the normal popping crease. Once the ball's been delivered, you can leave that. All the time the bowler has the ball, you need to stay behind that crease. And as soon as you left that and she's not bowled it or he's not bowled it, there's your warning.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get that, and as soon as there's 2 yellow cards and you're out, no one will ever do it again, because it's a fundamental rule of the game then. And you're not then vilifying any player. And the umpire is always going to be vilified for anything, bad light or rain or inspections or LBW and stuff like that. It's part of their job. But when you can fundamentally prove something with technology and kind of DRS and things like that, the game just needs to adapt and change. Why would you have to have one player take on all the grief that they're going to get? And that's going to be something they're going to be talked about forever. Ashwin's a great bowler, but he's only ever really going to be remembered. Well, not a lot, but a lot of the talk around Ashwin will be. Remember when he mankaded Joss Butler twice, all that kind of stuff. Whenever a mankad comes up, like last night, Ashwin's trending straight away. And it's sort of like, is really a legacy you want? I don't know. I don't know. We don't have ours.
And honestly, I know we've been talking about it for ages now, but I just don't get how it creates such a big conversation.
Yeah.
Like, get over it, honestly.
It's just a bit.
And like, to end it on a bit of a more like cheery note, like Charlie Dane's taken the piss.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Today in the game where she's gone to Mankad, one of the Indian batsmen, but hasn't. It's like
I think that was in a domestic trophy final today, I think. Okay. But yeah, that's the perfect reaction. As soon as you're back in the centre stage, what's the first thing you do to break the ice? Just do that. Everyone move on.
Yeah,
stop.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like fantastic. It shows you've got no hard feelings about it. Yeah. You're over it.
Yeah. And Charlie Dean being upset yesterday, which I think, quite rightly you would be, but I don't think she was upset of anybody but herself. That's the fundamental thing.
Who isn't upset when you get out? Yeah. Just full stop. Forget that it's for the match. Look at Liam Dawson smashing the chair today when it was Stone and Rashid in at the time. Mm-hmm. He was well pissed off because he didn't get to finish it. Charlie Dean's just as pissed off because she's not helped England win the match.
You want to see that emotion. They love it. They care about it. They want to win games for England. And, she felt she let her team down by, not having a game head on, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or was she lured into it? But that's another question. But no, it's fine. I've got nothing against enduring or whatever. I just think that it should change or rule the wording. Who cares? Hopefully we won't get another one for another, couple of years, and then we'll talk about it again. Right, county cricket. We love county cricket. County cricket has been happening. A lot of cricket has been happening, as we've mentioned, as we've not covered. Surrey won County Championship Division 1. They beat Yorkshire last week. They won by 10 wickets. Rory Burns, remember him? Hit the winning runs. 30 off 16 balls. So he's looking obviously for his Bazball contract. But yeah, I think Hampshire were the other team who were vying for a win of the county championship, but Kent did beat them, so that lost all their kind of chance. Was it Lancashire? One of the two, but yeah, Surrey have won. It's so I enjoy county cricket, but it's so difficult to stay on top of every little thing that's happening. You've got county games, you've got internationals coming out your ears, and then obviously you've got all kind of outside drama. But congrats to Surrey. I think that makes them the team who've won the county championship the most now, so to be expected of their facilities and their dollar. But yeah, they did well, good stuff. Rory Burns, nothing against Rory Burns, so good to see him get some runs. Pope got 100 as well. He made himself available for that game after the very short finished test series, so he got some more runs, which is nice. And then in white ball stuff, Kent won the Royal London 50 over in what will probably be Darren Stevens' last professional game, at least for Kent. He does still want to play on, and I love the fact that I think he has entered his name into the Big Bash draft. I don't think he got picked up, but that shows you his kind of dedication to still keep playing, and an absolutely balmy career that he has had. So it's quite nice to see that, he got to win with some silverware at the end. He got about 30 odd with the bat, and Kent won by about 30 runs. So if you want to script it that way, he won that game. But I think Jerry Everson, who from Kent got 100 in that final, he used to be a Notts player. So it's quite a nice kind of full circle story for him. But yeah, that's fun to watch. But is county cricket as we know it about to die, Jamie?
Yes. If Star Wars: The Revenge of the Sith is anything to go by.
Yeah. So Strauss has got some proposals. Don't think many of the county boards seem to like it that much, and from the sounds of it, they weren't really consulted, which doesn't surprise me. what are your initial thoughts? Did you want to give a quick rundown of what Sir Andrew Strauss has to say?
I do. I've got the points
Yeah.
here. So the start of the county championship would move from April to May and run continuously throughout the summer months, rather than being split between the start and the end of the summer as it is currently, and finish in September with teams playing a minimum of 10 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's fine. I don't think...
I mean, people want more, don't want to see a less Red Bull county championship games, but I mean, I think was always going to give on that. You know, how can you really... It's frustrating because I love it and I don't want people to think like, boo, county cricket, but it's a very difficult model to sell, and the ECB want money. And to have a game which will span mostly over term time dates when people are at school and people are at work Monday to Friday mostly, as is the way. How would you're not really going to get big crowds in to see these games, and you know, they most of the time they are going to take place at test grounds, and you know, the cricket quality is generally pretty good, and you know, quite a lot of England players always go and dip into county cricket, maybe not enough, but they will dip in to get form before a test series, things like that, and it does in the end create the players like Joe Root. And I think what Strauss wants is to try and make county cricket, especially Red Bull, as competitive as it can be. So you've got all the best players playing all the time. I don't think it still happen with IPLs and things like that, but I can see where he's coming from, but I can also understand people wanting more Red Bull cricket. But yeah, I would vanillary agree with that, I suppose.
Like, I'm fine with it happening in one set block. Like, he's got the One Day Cup will take place in a single block in April and could include minor counties in an FA Cup style knockout format. And you'll have the 100 taking place in a block at the end in August. Like, we'll come back to the One Day Cup including minor counties because I think that's really sick. But I like the idea of sort of bookending the Red Bull season with 2 white ball games, so you're not like jumping in from one thing to another, and you still will have players coming in late to the first class games, but you'll more likely have a settled team during that time. And I think it's quite fun to start with white ball and end with white ball. My issue with the white ball end is it being the 100 in general.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't get the blast.
No, the T20 blast would reduce from 14 matches to 10. So they're pushing the 100, and it would also be in a single block from the end of May to the end of July.
Money.
That should be the final block.
Yeah.
Like, I think we both have a general conceptual disagreement with the 100. Like, I think that's the competition you should have, if you're going to have it, that runs through the season, to just be a bit of a banter game every now and then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you need to like get too pumped for the 100 or need much training for it. You just go, go on, fuck it, let's have an exhibition game and do it for the kids that are coming down, because I think that's what the primary objective is to get a younger audience into the game.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but can't you do that with T20?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I think that be the issue. Like, I think because I did go to a 100 game in August, to, you know, because I wanted to give everything my honest viewing. I think I ended up seeing probably the 2 best games of the season, from what I know. Like, they were very, very close. Went down to the last ball in both games. And that's what I like about 100s, that you got double headers between the women and the men's game, which I think is quite unique and really quite exciting to see, you know, 2 different sets of teams. But it is mostly for a kids audience, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it was Lords was full when I went, and it gets loads of kids into the game. But the fact that it will be an August block for the foreseeable future, that's already away from Strauss's plan. That's already ECB's, you know, plans for the next kind of few years. You can tell that from England's upcoming tour schedule. I know next year Australia play South Africa in August. That's why the Ashes has been moved. But for the years after that, it's very clear that there's not any kind of real international cricket in August, and that kind of says what you need to know. Yeah. It just feels very odd to really like. It doesn't feel odd because they're doing it because money, but they're really pushing this for August to have all the best players all the time, chuck money in it, and in the end, people are going to love it. They're not. No. They obviously wouldn't be able to do the Blast franchise because the Blast uses county teams and they can't sell county teams. You know, you can't have London Spirit bought by, I don't know, let's just use the Glazers as an example. You can't have those brands bought as commercial properties because they're all county teams and established county setups and institutions. But I still don't understand why you can't still have a franchise T20 competition and you have to have it as the 100. I think it's a mess, and the fact that you're trying to like restrict and compensate other things for something that's only just had 2 seasons, and the first season was kind of COVID-ish. Second season's just gone and it was very middling. I don't think there was many close games. Like I said, I think I saw 2 closest ones. The fact that you're throwing all your eggs into this basket, into this competition, this format that no one else plays, it's just a very odd hill to die on. Because then you flip that, you see the Test cricket this summer, and that's been great to watch. And you kind of would argue, does there need to be a review now? Because suddenly England have a new captain and coach, and suddenly the best team in the world. Not the best team in the world, but you like to think. But it's a mess. So,
like, if you're thinking as Andrew Strauss that you're doing these sort of reforms with England, as your main interest, I don't think there's an international 100 format. There is an international first-class format in Test matches, but there's going to be fewer first-class games. Mm-hmm. There's an international T20 format, of which will have less games. I don't think India, Australia, Sri Lanka, etc. have 100 teams.
They do not.
I don't think the 100 is to the betterment of England cricket.
No, it feels very much because England pretended to invent T20 cricket in 2003, that they kind of try and do exactly the same thing with the 100. It's not going to happen. Like, the IPL is not going to go to 100 balls. Like, it's never going to happen. But the fact, I think another fact, a bad thing is because of August. No county championship, no one-day cup, no T20s, as it is just 100. That will leave counties such as, you know, your Kents, Somerset. Somerset being like one of the high riches of English cricket in producing players, you know, like Hildreth and Butler, Craig Keysbetter, Jack Leach, Marcus Trescothick. If you're taking away cricket at that time of the year, height of summer, at Taunton, which whenever you watch in Taunton is always bouncing, great. I'd love to go to Taunton and watch cricket, but when am I able to go now? Because it's not during summer. You know, that's a real great place to watch cricket, and you know, it's always full as a county ground. And yeah, people say county cricket's dead, but Taunton's always bouncing. And then you know, places like Leicester or Durham, you're very much narrowing the vision of who can watch cricket, or what is very an already elitist sport anyway. Like, if you're very much constricting it down to London, Manchester, Birmingham, Cardiff for some reason, that is, you know, pulling apart the game yourself. If you're not, Strauss has said there could be Red Bull cricket festivals of, like, you know, Lancashire v Yorkshire, but that's just kind of pulling wool over the eyes, because that's nothing, isn't it? Like, that's just an exhibition game.
Yeah, exactly. They're just glorified friendlies.
Yeah,
exactly. Not even glorified. They're just friendlies. They're just
exactly.
If you're not playing 100, do you want to show up for a game?
You're not doing anything else, are you?
No, we booked the ground for this. Next 5 days. Don't have a game though. Strauss said it's 100 time.
So I think that's the fundamental problem. Because you can't even have, you know, have women's cricket take the spotlight during August as well, because obviously the women's 100 goes on exactly the same time, which again I think is double headers is good, but you've got nothing else for people. People love cricket and want to watch. You're watching 100, or that's it. And it's just like, I don't want to watch 100. I don't like, and most cricket fans won't want to watch 100. Kids will. That's fine. That's fun. Most cricket fans won't. And that's, you know, that's a sorry tale of English cricket. To accommodate everything for that, it's a sad thing.
As much as I would love to see Mikey Holding's thoughts on it, I don't want to see him die talking about it either.
No, yeah, for sure. Oh gosh, but it then just means everything gets pushed back. I know international conflicts and stuff, but next year, like I was just looking for podcasts because obviously England women have a test match at Trent Bridge next year, a 5-day one, which is great because they normally get shunted to 4 days into minor county grounds. So at Trent Bridge, 5 days is fantastic. But I was looking at the other international fixtures, and England play Ireland and ODI on the 23rd of September. Like it's that's just a real back end. Who cares about this? Like you're shunting international cricket to the very end, so you have August for 100 time. Even though Australia have fixtures next year, I know, but it's okay. It's fine. We love it. We love cricket. So will this save county cricket, Jamie? In final thoughts?
I mean, we've got a couple more things.
Oh gosh. Okay.
It's just a couple. Like just to go back to the One Day Cup, introducing like minor counties. I think that's going to be really exciting. I love watching like at the T20 World Cup last year, the pre-qualifiers like Papua New Guinea. I find that really exciting because I don't know anything about the teams. Yeah. So I think that's the sort of vibe you'll bring with, I don't even know, Devon.
Maybe that's the kind of thing that you like to see, isn't it? I think it's
exactly.
It's same when we went to go watch went to Radlett and you saw fringe players for Gloucestershire and Middlesex that you learned about, you know, different kind of players and stuff like that. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know whether that will be confirmed or not, but I think that would be. I think I've been banging on about that for ages.
It'll be well fun. It's just an exciting, like it's a natural development of the game as well. It doesn't feel like you're doing it because like you've had a marketing meeting. This will be great. This will up the audience numbers. It's just, it involves lesser teams that will help their development, help them get better, and it will like naturally help other players that wouldn't normally get into the England setup a little bit further down the line. But there's the opportunity there.
No, I agree. Absolutely. I'd love to see that. We agreed on that at least. Do you say you had another one?
Yeah, we've got two more. I've saved the
two more.
Most egregious for last, in my opinion.
Okay.
The second division conferences will be split into two separate divisions of 6 teams, one promotion place decided by an end of season playoff. There's no point in doing that.
All you're doing with that is slowly jettisoning the teams you don't want in there, you know, like the Leicestershires and the Derbyshires and stuff like that. That's all they're doing.
Like, unless you're doing a north-south divide, so you're making it a bit easier for teams that might struggle with finances when traveling. I can see that as a reason to do that, but I've not seen anything that suggests it is north and south. It just says 2 separate divisions.
But then who are you deciding who gets into the Premier Division? Exactly. Like how are you deciding that? Like, because the current structure. Sorry, go on.
There's an end of season playoff, so they'll have either a series or a one-off game to decide.
Oh no, I mean like now. So if you if you hypothetically were to go into this structure next year, how would you suddenly say like, oh, you in normal circumstances you stayed up this year, but nope, you're now into one of the 2 lower divisions? It's sort of like,
I don't know.
Rubbish. Boo. So you had
final point.
Rubbish.
They are using Kookaburra balls.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Well, that'll be the hope. That's what they. Yeah.
Like the Duke's ball is part of the England cricket culture. It's what makes it like just completely different to the subcontinent and Australian conditions. That's part of the swing movement. It's part of the difficulty when England teams go play away. I get the point. Yeah, I get the point that Strauss is like, we're doing this to try and make the team more competitive overseas, but like it takes away some of your own character.
And the most important stuff, yeah, the best stuff about the English game. But like, do that in like your stupid festivals or whatever, you know. Like we're gonna in these festival games have the Kookaburra Ball.
Use fucking Kookaburra for 100 match. I like.
Yeah.
I don't know why that one point has like riled me up the most, but it feels
But yeah, no, I agree.
very out of character for English cricket. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see Jimmy and Broad bowling with a Kookaburra at Lords and be like, "Where the fuck's the swing? Where's the movement?"
Yeah, because fundamentally it won't happen in Test match cricket. That's the thing. Like, and again, like you say, that's what makes cricket interesting. Is like, you're going to Australia. Australia play with Kookaburra ball. They know how to play a Kookaburra ball, bowl of Kookaburra ball, and that's the test of a touring team to overcome that challenge. That's what you want to see. Like, you don't want to see suddenly England go to Australia and be like, "Oh, we're well equipped for this. This is just what we play at home." Because Australia are never going to take a Duke's ball and like use a Duke's ball in Australia. Like, why do we have to overcomplicate all this stuff, which is just silly? So yeah, I don't think it's going to work. So basically, the counties would have to vote on this, and they would need a majority for it to be confirmed. And from the vibe, I don't think it would be. They might take elements from this and think, oh, let's cherry pick the nice bits. But counties like Kent and Worcester and Derby and Somerset, Durham, I can't see any of them. I think some of them have already put statements out to be like, we will not be, pushed aside or rendered irrelevant. I think it was Kent's words or something like that. Because this is what they're doing. They're just kind of keeping their 100-ish area teams by having, Lancashire and Warwickshire and Surrey in this Premier Division because they're getting the most revenue.
Yeah.
Fundamental is money. So we will see. I don't think it will go through, but we could yet be surprised. 100 did, so
Strauss out.
because they paid off everyone. But yeah, alas, I think that's pretty much it. Cricket wise, maybe apart from obviously the series of in India and Australia, which we've been very much all over. You knew it was happening a full kind of 2 minutes before we did this podcast.
Of course, yeah, I know every detail about them. Yeah,
India won 2-1. I think that happened today. They won a last ball or a ball to go or something like that.
Seems exciting.
I'm just trying to pluck up a cricket news that's happened. Finch has retired from one-day cricket, but is still T20 captain. Kohli got 100 against Afghanistan in the most dead rubber game you've ever seen in your life, with both Afghanistan and India having been knocked out of the Asia Cup. And their last game, Kohli got 100. Sure. Sri Lanka won the Asia Cup though, which is pretty good. So that's good going for them. Yeah. Chris Silverwood. Miracles can happen.
Goldwood.
So Goldwood. I can't think of much else if I'm being perfectly honest.
No.
And the season is almost drawing to an end as we head towards the winter seasons. Unless you've got any cricket stuff.
I don't have any cricket stuff.
Oh. What could that mean? What else could you have?
I think that's usually where our jingle plays for our just not cricket segment.
Oh, I don't have one. What can I make one up every time, so I'd be like, boop, just not cricket. Here we are.
Thank you. So, like, other people have been doing like halfway season through reviews for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. We can't do that. Yeah, that's going on. We can't do a mid-season review because it's over halfway in the season now. So I thought we'd do Lord of the Rings of Power just over halfway.
Nice.
Season review.
No one else will be doing this.
No, of course. They've all done their mid-season reviews last week. We're ahead of the curve. We're doing something different. We're doing something new. We're innovative.
Yeah. Because what is it? 3 left?
Yeah.
2.
We've had 5 episodes so far. Yeah. We've got 3 left.
Yeah.
So I thought if we start off with what we like about it first, what we think's been going well. Because the end might deteriorate into ranty territory.
Oh no. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. If we want to Like
things we like. I think it is a very pretty show.
Snap, I've got that too.
I think it's probably one of the best shows to look at I've seen. I think it uses a good balance between practical and CGI in a way that I think a lot of properties don't. To be able to see things like practical orcs, proper, full-on sets, place like Numenor, for example, blending that between CGI and the actual sets just looks fantastic. I think the score is very good. Like the music score around kind of Khazad-dûm and Numenor and stuff like that feels very like fitting of Tolkien, Middle Earth, in my opinion. I think a lot of the characters are surprising how much I've enjoyed them more, like maybe expected. I think when I watched the initial trailers, I thought Elendil was going to be a bit drab and a bit kind of like generic. But I think potentially he's stealing the show at the moment. I think he's fundamentally very good. Like I think he said in the last episode, like we're heading to Middle Earth, but he said in such like a booming like voice. I can't really describe it. Like I don't know how you'd get your voice to project like that, but it just sounded so like kind of kingly.
It's got a very sort of tenor sort of voice in him.
I think he's great, and I think how they're working his character and hearing him speaking Elvish, things like that. I think you look at him and be like, oh yeah, of course Aragorn is your descendant. I really like that. Elrond I think is great. I always thought he's going to be from the casting. I thought that was always going to be a great decision. Durin and Deezer. I really enjoy their relationship and their interaction with Elrond. I think that's really, really fun to watch. What is other elf's name who is not Galadriel?
Arondir.
Yeah.
I really like Arondir. He feels like one of the more Tolkienian elves. He's a very stoic, like conflicted elf as well, especially with the immortality stuff going on with the humans he's watching over. The men he's watching over.
The men. Because I was very unsure about him at the beginning, because I thought because they're trying to like jump the gun to be like he's been watching them for years, that they're trying to really force home this love story that I just didn't really connect with. But as soon as they took him away and had him solo for a couple of episodes, I was like, okay, I can understand you as a character, and I can definitely see you as an elf. Like the bit when he's cutting down the tree, felt very, very Tolkien and very like you could feel the inner conflict of him. I thought it was really great.
I really like that episode as well, showing the other side of the conflict, showing the orcs being menacing, having their like prisoner camps and all of that. Like we've not seen that in any adaptations before. It's a nice sort of change of pace, a nice just a difference from what we've seen before, and we can see that evil growing as well, and Arondir having to like sacrifice some of his own sort of morals to protect his other elves and other like prisoners. When he cut the tree down and he speaks Elvish to the he's asking it to forgive him. It's just a nice little plotline they've had.
I think that was really, really, really enjoyed that. I'm watching it now though, like with the thing, like because I know what it's about. That sounds like so simplistic to say, but I know what the vibe of the show is going to be. I can sit down and I can like know vaguely what to expect, and I can like kind of reserve my expectations. So when it started, I'm like, okay, Lord of the Rings is my favorite film series of all time. This has got to be big. This is a lot of like, because I remember I watched it first and I told you I watched it and you were like, I want to know. Like it was a big kind of like, when it first started, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, but now I know what the vibe is. I can kind of sit back and watch it for a show and not necessarily have to get too kind of worked up about stuff I don't necessarily like as much, because I know the vibe of it. But then when something happens which is very Tolkien-y or works very well in my loving of Lord of the Rings, I'll be like, oh, I can appreciate that a lot. Is there anything else that you like that you want to add before we move?
I think you've covered it, to be honest. I think
yeah.
the acting in general has been decent. Like,
what do
you said,
you make? I don't know if this is going to lead into our next segment. What do you make of the dialogue?
right, it might lead into our next segment.
Okay.
I think generally it's a bit hit and miss. Sometimes it feels very good. It feels very Tolkien. Other times it feels like they're using language which is just a bit too modern. Like I slipped up by saying human a couple of minutes ago. That's not the term.
No.
It's men, but they've used human before.
Okay.
It's just really small things. And I think that's the major thing that I'll bring up. Like these tiny things add up into like just one big. It makes me not like it. Like they use words like yeah, nah, okay,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Human, politician, and it just takes you out of it for a sec.
Yeah, politician felt bizarre when they said politician.
Yeah, and then you
felt like it's going to be Game of Thronesy. Do you know what I mean? Like the sort of like vibes they're looking at, be like, this is that way. They'll say that Game of Thrones. We'll use that.
I wouldn't mind that sort of vibe, not say the language, but I think the Numenor storyline should be a bit more Thronesy. It should sort of like echo the political game, to use that word again, of say King's Landing in season 1. Like Pharazôn should be working in the shadows, which I think he is. I think they're showing Pharazôn doing that quite well. But then you'll have the Numenorians in the marketplace just going, oh, fucking elves taking our jobs.
I know, like what was that?
And then like you'll have the flip side of that with Pharazôn with his speech, which is really good.
Yeah.
And then they kind of like slightly ruin it a bit when he's just like drinks all around.
I know. Like, what was that for? You've
made
your point with the
speech. It's not a fucking bar. Who's bringing you drinks?
It's an open bar now because Pharazôn boys.
It's
just, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It's just that sort of thing. Like the architecture, the set pieces are really, really gorgeous. I think that's where the most attention to detail is. I think other content creators have pointed out that while Numenor looks very pristine in general, around the White Tree of Nimloth, it's the biggest connection they have to the elves, but that's very deteriorated. It's a bit in ruins. But I think that's part of the issue of the show. They're putting that sort of attention to detail in the wrong place. And I think that makes it really shallow. Like they're showing off they've got like their knowledge of the lore with the statues of Ulmo, with the Silmarils, with Tuor's hammer and his shield, the helm of Dorlomin, with like various iterations of Beren and Luthien.
Yeah.
But that's not reflected in the dialogue or like the characterization of people. Like, this isn't Galadriel. Give her a different name and I'd be more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It's like there's a scene where the rant's coming up, by the way.
I guessed.
If you hadn't gathered. There's a scene where Miriel is talking to Elendil and she sort of like asks him if his name is like Elvish.
Yeah.
In a bit of an accusative manner. Do you know where Miriel's name comes from? I do. It's Feanor's mother's name. That is possibly the most Elvish name you can have. And you're like, you've got an Elvish name, dickhead.
Gosh, I know what you mean.
It's a very small thing, again, to change the dwarvish idea of reincarnation, like Durin going into Durin.
Yeah.
I think conceptually I don't hate it, but I'm not all for it. And they've kind of done that so that when the new king wears the crown, they get all the personalities and memories of that. But that, I think, dilutes the idea and the themes of that going into the Dwarven race and culture. And then you have very small things like the names. The Southlanders' names range from like Welsh with Bronwyn, from Old English but sounds modern with Theo, to Irish with like, I think it's Rowan, his best mate.
Yeah.
It's like, pick a fucking lane. Do some research into it. Like you've shown that you can add in like lore without necessarily explicitly stating it. Like there's a character in the first age called Boromir. You can use like in the appendices of Lord of the Rings, Aragorn's family tree on his father's side is basically listed. Go to there and use some fucking names from there. Don't just go, Theo, that's a name. Theoden, Theodred. We'll just take that. People will be like Theoden. It's just
No, I'd agree with that. And I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. The fact that they've obviously got so many people putting so much detail in behind the scenes, like because there's also a thing in Numenor as well where they're kind of rebuilding Numenor kind of men style to a wall by getting rid of the Elvish style. There's little things like that which I really love, but it's just I get the feeling that either they try too hard with the dialogue, which they try to make it sound all kind of like, you know, a bit like poetry or lyrical or kind of Tolkien-y, and then it becomes a bit kind of too ham-fisted. Or they go too modern because they'd probably be like, some of these conceptual ideas are like, might not make sense in dialogue, so we'll dumb it down. And it's sort of like, just pick, like you say, pick a lane. Just choose what you're gonna do.
I understand them trying to make it a bit more inclusive to those who aren't more familiar with Tolkien's works, but don't dumb it down to an extent when you're like, fam, fuck you, Isildur. Don't have it to an extent where Durin is like 2 letters away from swearing. Again, it's like really tiny things, but
it takes you out of it, doesn't it? They feel like
it really does.
Yeah, it doesn't feel well. So sometimes when like I can't remember what the exact wording is, but when like Elrond sees Durin for the first time, I can't remember. He says like something very lyrical, like something about it's been many winds or something since all you last. I remember like listening to it like, that sounds great. That sounds really perfectly Elvish. But then you have like, so like you say, so many other stuff where it's just sort of like it's still talking to his mates, and it's sort of like this could just be any kind of generic YA fantasy show, and it's sort of like this feels weird. Like
we've already got YA female protagonist in Galadriel, like just brooding around, hell bent on revenge. Like when finally you've got an opportunity to expand on that, Halbrand's actually asked her why she's still fighting. She's just like, I can't stop. I can't stop. Like that comes, I think it comes pretty close after the revelation that the tree in Linden is like corrupted, or something. So you could have a reveal like she's known about that going on for ages. But like that's why she's trying to find Sauron. That's why she's hell bent on it. It's not just because of Finrod. It's because of her love for her race. She's trying to do something actively. Like,
so is another one of your points Galadriel, or is that kind of been summed up?
I think that's been summed up in general. Like I think there are a few characters that are just generally unlikable and one-dimensional, and these aren't like just minor characters. Like Halbrand's fine. I don't mind Halbrand. He's the implication that he might be Sauron, the implication that him and Galadriel might have feelings for each other worries me, but fine, whatever. Like there are 3 characters in mind. We've spoken about Galadriel, she's one of them, that should have an aura about them, or at least like a semblance of an aura that should be developed and built upon. There should be some sort of heroic tendencies in them already. We've spoken about Galadriel. She's just a bit of a bitch. Like, she's not shown many other emotions.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of like, sort of like, how can I really root for this? Because I think she's a great actress. I love her. I think she's fantastic. But I'm like, just give me something else. Like,
exactly.
What else are you other than the death of your brother? Like
that moment when she's like, I can't stop fighting just cause. There was a change in there. There was some sort of a different emotion there, like regret or sort of contempt for herself. But then the writers have given her just a nothing motivation. But the actor has sold it.
Yeah, completely. Like, yeah, the only scene that
Yeah.
really resonates with me with Galadriel is one of her first ones when she has with Elrond. And
Mhm.
I think that's one of the fun scenes, and I think they really
Yeah.
bounce back and forth really quite nicely. But yeah, I
Yeah.
just want something more. I want some kind of like, I know she's going to go through this like patch of like, I must have revenge, but I would like to see some kind of like happiness or like joy or
Mm.
like some real wonderment of the world.
Yeah,
It's something
sure.
that I would
Not
like.
like a slow-mo weird smile on a
Oh, that's
horse
weird,
though.
isn't it? And
Like
there's also a weird slow mo
like
when she's doing the fighting as well, wasn't she? Like when she sort of goes
yeah.
upside down, stuff like, what is this?
There's yeah. Like maybe like give her a husband and a daughter or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like another character that should have that sort of aura about them is Gilgalad, the High King of the
Mm.
Noldor, who will eventually go on, along with Elendil, to
Hmm.
defeat Sauron in fucking
Yeah.
combat in the War of
Yeah.
the Last Alliance. But
Yeah.
he's just a massive dick.
He is.
He's not showing respect to one of the oldest and wisest elves in Galadriel.
Hmm.
Granted, she's not shown anything warranted for respect.
No.
But then he's been a massive dick to Elrond. He's manipulating him
Yeah.
to I don't think we'll have enough time to discuss Mithril, but he's manipulating him to get some Mithril for bullshit
For reasons.
reasons. For because the owls might die because the like he calls him Elrond Perethel, which means half elven. And
Yeah.
he says it in like a very name cally,
Yeah. Like
offensive
dissing
manner. It's
him.
like,
Even though they're supposed to be
yeah,
like, you know, close, aren't they? They're supposed to be like best pals.
exactly. Like Gilgalad should be more of like a father figure to Elrond. Like
Yeah. At the
literally
moment, it feels more
every
like Celebrimbor is more like
yeah,
our figure to Elrond.
yeah, like Celebrimbor was like telling him about his father and
Mm.
that sort of stuff. Like people should like every single elf should know the story of Eärendil and should have
Yeah.
a bit of respect for Elrond for what he's gone through because him and his twin were basically raised by their kidnappers. So like, give him a break, man. Just
Oh dear. Even though he is Gilgalad is annoying in this, I think like the way again that Elrond reacts and the way he's acted in response to it is really the inner turmoil that he has between like his oath to Durin and you know his duty to elves. I think is acted really well. I think it's whether it comes from the
yeah,
right person or not. I think the way he reacts to that kind of conflict is great. But potentially there could be behind the scenes motives for Gilgalad being manipulated. I think
yeah,
we've discussed off camera, which would make sense if you wanted to go down that line. But
yeah.
we'll
I
see.
mean, like, I think Gilgalad's actor is actually playing an elf very well as well.
Yeah,
Like the way
feels
he's
very
delivering the
stoic and
lines.
very
Yeah. Like even when he is being a dick,
yeah.
he is acting well. Like he's just not
Give him
given.
more.
Yeah,
Give him stuff.
just give him something good.
You know, he's only been in 2 episodes, wasn't he? Like it's been
Yeah,
we've seen like 5
yeah,
episodes. He's only been in 2.
yeah. I mean, so we have to have some patience to
Yeah,
allow the characters to develop. But then again,
coming towards the end.
yeah, it's been a tenth of the whole series.
Yeah,
Like we need a bit more
he's not even
to have
started
happened.
filming season 2 yet, so we're gonna.
uh, yeah, and then you have Isildur,
Gosh,
who I
yeah.
think a lot of people who have only just watched the movies will have seen him and think he's a bit corruptible because he's taken the ring.
Yeah.
But like prior to that, and like quick side note, the ring is a big power of corruption. It's
Yeah,
gonna
funny that.
fuck you up.
Yeah.
Like, like Isildur is a massive baller basically in the Second Age. Like
Yeah.
he goes against like Pharazôn's Kingsmen. He saves a seedling or a sapling from the White Tree in Númenor, which will then go on to be
Yeah.
the White Tree in Gondor. Like he's the reason for the White Tree of Gondor existing.
Yeah.
And you're just showing him be a bit of a selfish bitch, like fucking up on the boat to get dismissed, which gets his friends dismissed.
Yeah.
Or like he's only apologizing to his friends. Like, so, can you get me on the army? It's like,
Yeah.
do something that deserves getting there instead.
Yeah. Like I get the sense that they're trying to build up his like character arc to be this kind of big heroic guy from this bumbling kind of idiot who's kind of nothing in the beginning, but whether that sticks is a
Yeah, I think they're going for like directionless, sort of just doesn't know what to do with his life.
who he
And
wants to
that's
be. Yeah,
fine, but like
Mhm.
show a bit about himself. And again, I think the actor's doing a really good job.
yeah, with what they've got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just a shame because the fundamentals are there, aren't they? That's the problem. You just want a bit more.
Mhm. I think that's what I mean with how it feels so shallow. Like you've definitely got substance there. You're just not like mixing it all together that it feels natural, that it feels engaging, which ironically, I thought 5 was the worst episode so far, but I felt the most engaged watching it, which is really weird.
A lot of stuff happened. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
Like, granted, I had some rum with me, so that might have helped.
and the whole Mithril stuff kicked off, didn't it? So that's
Are we
can
do
save
it?
that for another time.
Yeah, like just to
Because we can see where it goes. Because I've got the suspicion that it's like not a thing, but I don't know. Well,
I mean, if we want to cover it quickly, the elves think because of an old legend, which they should be old enough
to know if that's factual.
To know, and yeah, exactly. The Silmaril, Mithril is basically a byproduct of Silmaril from lightning hitting a tree while an elf and a Balrog is fighting around the tree.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be confirmed that it's Sauron behind the scenes making shit up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a stupid lie. Like the elves should know.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not where the Silmaril is. And secondly, it's like the idea is that the light of the trees is what keeps their immortality going. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, it's just like, what's their plan with the Mithril?
Well, yeah, because they had to like soak themselves all in the light or something, didn't they? Say something bizarre.
No, it doesn't make any sense. So
yeah, doesn't. Because I watched it sort of like, and I like to feel like I've got like a base level Tolkien. I don't think I'm anywhere near you, but I've got like the base, which is well above casual, but below like scholarly level. Like to me, I sort of like I had to rewatch the scene, so it's sort of like
imagine watching that as a casual, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense as that.
No, I mean I've watched like content from Tolkien YouTubers that know a substantial more than I do, and they're like, what?
Yeah, feels like trying to create something out of nothing, really. But
yeah, exactly.
Like any other gripes did you have? Or
yeah, like there are
message show
smaller bits, but like I said, I think the tiny aspects build up to just niggle away a bit too much. I think the editing cuts away sometimes a bit weirdly.
Yeah,
I think there's a scene when Bronwyn cuts off the orc's head in episode 1 or 2.
Oh yeah,
but they cut before that and like cut into her like slamming the orc head on the table. It was a bit janky, but I think the editing's
you get what
better.
You're trying to do. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
like there's a transition in the last episode where Elrond's looking up to the sky, to the moon, and then it transitions to Earendil's statue in Numenor. I think that's a really good piece of cinematography and editing. It's just
do it more.
Yeah, no, I think editing wise, I think they're getting better.
Yeah, I think it's best when it lets the scenes breathe. Is my I think it's episode 3 or whatever when they go to Numenor for the first time, or maybe I can't remember what I had lost track. But there's like an episode where it's sort of like most of these scenes are either Numenor or with Elf guy, who I forget his name, in the orc pit. Sort of like it's kind of just those two. Here's their story for this episode. That's what you're getting, and then you just feel a bit more like, I understand. This is how this world is, and especially when you're introducing so many new characters or characters you've not seen before in this world, or characters you know but don't know properly yet here. you just need to give them time to breathe. You know, that's why something like the Fellowship works well in a film, because you spend so much time with the hobbits first and Gandalf, and then you slowly spend more time with the others, get to know them. Chucking everyone in deep end, being like expecting them. That's episode 1 feels so weirdly jarring because it's like, here's all these characters, and so like I don't know any of these people, and you can't suddenly tell me these two, this elfin man, elfin woman, are in love. You've not shown any of that. You can't just here it is. Like, so when you get the chance to have longer scenes and longer moments in these episodes, I think it's really great.
Yeah, like I forgot my train of thought.
It's fine. I think the writers do sometimes.
Like slow-mo, I think they've overused and executed a bit naff. Like, I think compare it to the slow-mo they used in Fellowship with Boromir's death scene.
Yeah,
I think there's a bit more emotional weight behind that, because like Boromir's literally sticking with arrows at that point. So you're expecting an emotional payoff, as compared to like the slow-mo when Arondir, Theo, and Bronwyn are running through the forest from the orcs.
Yeah.
I think slow-mo takes away from the dope action that Arondir's pulling off.
It really does. Yeah, definitely.
And it sort of implies that there's going to be an emotional kick at the end. Either one of those three are going to die.
Nothing happens. Yeah.
Or reveal that I thought they were going to kill Durin.
Yeah.
Because it's Disa's singing. At the end, we see Durin run off into the mines. So I thought they were going to kill off Durin, at least one of the dwarves. But no,
nothing.
All the dwarves in that mine was fine.
Yeah. Nice choices.
Yeah. Harfoots. I like the Harfoots in general. The culture's cool. The sort of social conventions are cool when they're not being like psychopaths and like, fuck them, leave them behind for dead.
Yeah.
That aside, I think generally the storyline is good, but it's so far removed from the other plot lines. Like, if you take the Harfoots out, it doesn't change the show.
No, exactly. I'm sure that's my fundamental problem.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be.
Yeah.
But there needed to be something that threaded it.
Yeah. To from a point. Yeah.
And, you know, Arianne, Isildur's sister, is just casually in a rom-com.
I know. Gosh. They're suddenly like that now, aren't they? After like 2 episodes, and now like, oh, now we're just like.
I mean, they had their meet cute in episode 4. She spilled some wine on him, and it's like, they've done the lovey-dovey eyes. You can see the love heart.
And also, I know we're wrapping up soon, but I also don't really understand why she was so fundamentally anti them going to war.
No, you knew that.
Like, it was just felt like, why are you so, you need to tell your father to stop this, but why? What's your reasoning? There was never explained.
No. She seems very close with Isildur as well, but that's not been expanded on or given any substance.
It's almost like she doesn't exist as a character and there shouldn't really be in the show.
You might have something there.
It's like, I can understand a lot of new characters and stuff, but I don't understand what she's giving. That's my.
Yeah, like, he literally has a brother.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Hobbit films where they added Tauriel because it was a predominantly male cast.
Yeah.
There are some legit strong female characters in this show, and I don't think they've been done justice yet. But like, you've got Miriel, you've got Galadriel, Bronwyn could have done something.
Disa's good. I really like Durin and Disa. They're great.
Disa is like top 5 characters, top 3 maybe. She's really killing it. For all the hate I have for Nori's name, I think she's a pretty solid character. I think she's got very hobbity.
Yeah, she kind of embodies that kind of vibe.
Yeah. So like, they've got proper female characters. They didn't need to
shoehorn one in.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a Tauriel situation where they had so many male characters. Like, we kind of need a bit of femininity in this story.
Yeah, but this is just for sake of it is my vibe. But
yeah,
oh well,
it's cool.
It's cool. We're having the best time. We're loving it.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, we'll probably have probably by next time we'll do an episode. It'll either be all out or probably a finale preview would be my vibe.
I have like started like making notes on if I were doing a second age Lord of the Rings show.
That could be fun. We could definitely do that at
Yeah.
some stage. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be quite nice. But yeah, otherwise, I think if I don't have any more ring stuff just yet.
No, I think that's been quite cathartic.
That's the therapy session. I hope you also enjoyed listening to the therapy session. If you're also having issues with Rings of Power, but maybe you're loving it, let us know in the comments below. If this is on YouTube, might be on YouTube, or you can just talk to us on social medias. Where can they find us, Jamie?
They can find us on at Just Not Crick Pod, on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the TikTok, on the YouTube.
We're
where
everywhere.
we might have a special exclusive
Yes,
video
special
coming
video
soon.
coming
I say
soon.
Soon for us is like 3 months.
But there will be a special video soon, which if you like cricket and wrestling, which is going to be a very small percentage, I think, of liking those two things, I think you'll enjoy it. It's definitely different. I think it's quite a lot of fun. And I think the plan is to kind of do a lot more kind of additional content stuff, especially upcoming World Cup. We'll be back for another podcast in I'm gonna say the coming weeks, because then that can mean anything. We'll be definitely back before the World Cup, and after the 7 matches of this cricket. But it's been good to be back. Have you enjoyed it, Jamie?
Yeah. I have enjoyed it. It's been a nice little nice little cricket chat and the other thing.
And the other thing, and the rings of cricket. But yeah, do give us a like, follow, all that jazz. Do let us know about the mankad and how you know. Please don't. But yeah, we'll see you soon. And as Jamie's always going to see us out in his traditional sense of.
I can trigger everyone who likes cricket and Lord of the Rings. Galadriel, mankads, LND, cut to black, laugh track, 80s theme music plays.
God, I'd watch that.
I would.